Hi, it's Gil Robles. I'm back, and uh, it's been a little while since I posted, and I don't plan to do that too often. And thank goodness it hasn't been that long. So, anyway, I'm posting right now, and I'm going ahead with this sketch I'm doing in Sketchbook. And one of the things that I like to do from time to time is explore the different brushes in the program. You can see to the right in the brushes palette that there are a ton of brushes, and I can continue to scroll down up or down on this thing, and there just so much more. And in addition to the brushes that came with the program, I also went onto the Autodesk website and was able to download some free brushes that they have there. So there's a ton of stuff that you can add to Sketchbook that's available on their website. And you know what? I'll look it up and make sure to leave a link below. But definitely, if you want to broaden your choices on the brush palette, there you can go there and download some of those free brushes. And there's also, you can create brushes on and save them in this program as well. I haven't done that in a while, but that you want to do that. You want to broaden your choices as far as materials are concerned. What I normally do is when I get on this program, I rely on brushes that I've become accustomed to. And so, outside of these little sketches that I do sketches like this. I do warm-up sketches, and where basically the goal of the sketch is not the sketch itself, but to explore within the program the different options that I do have. That way, later on, I can use that in something else without having to search it up or look for it. Or look for something new, knowing that it's there and that it's there as a choice. So, and it's good to be able to broaden your choices, to create new brushes, to have more options to draw and to paint with. But at the same time, one of the things that you don't want to do, and this is my belief, is you want to have a balance between the material and your ability, because what gets the job done really is not the material. It's not the equipment that they use. And I come from traditional art background where I spent a lot of money on brushes, especially watercolor brushes, which are very, very expensive when you go into the sable brushes and so forth. And they can get very, very expensive. But I spent money on specific equipment. I spent money on good equipment because I believe that you should. What I was taught as a student is get the best equipment that your money can buy. Get the best equipment that you can afford. Get the best brush that you can afford. But don't rely on the brush. In the end of the day, it's your ability that you're developing. The brush is only a help, as far as that is concerned. Getting the right brush is useful. Getting the right equipment is useful, but that's something that your equipment is something that you channel your ability through. It's your equipment is not your ability. It's kind of like I don't know if anyone had gone out to see Thor Ragnarok, and there was a part in it where Thor is speaking to his father Odin, and Thor has lost his hammer, and Odin reminds him and says, "Look, are you Thor, the god of hammers?" Which, of course, he was the god of thunder. And so the hammer was just something that he can channel his power through. And that's the same thing as your art equipment. It's just something that you channel your abilities through, your ability to draw and to paint and so forth, is within you. It's not in the equipment. So anyway, and just as an aside, there was something that I had read a long time ago about Norman Rockwell. And Norman Rockwell, what he did was every now and then, he would practice, do like what I'm doing right here, is just some personal sketches that weren't meant to be seen by the public. They were just a bunch of, sketches where he just continued to hone his craft. And what he would do, he wrote, I think it's in his book, My Adventures as an Illustrator, but I've read it in some such book. He would use they had like the blades from the window blind. He would take one of those, and he would use that instead of a brush, and he would paint with it, because his belief is that it's not the brush, it's not the equipment, and you kind of have to you kind of have to make do with what you have in order to get your artistic vision across. Now, I agree with that entirely. And you know what? One of the things is also with any medium, you can choose a medium, but every medium has its challenges. Every medium is different. Every medium has something that takes something of a learning curve, something to get used to in order to use the equipment correctly, or so forth. A good example is watercolor. Now, watercolor is a transparent medium. It takes a little bit to dry, and you one area is wet and you want to continue to work on it, you have to wait for it to dry and so forth. But on top of that is when it dries, typically watercolor dries lighter than when you first put it down. When you first put it down, it's darker, and when it dries, it's a tad lighter. Gouache has that same problem. Gouache is an opaque watercolor, and what happens is when you put down gouache or casein or any of those water-based mediums, is that it goes down lighter, it goes down darker, and then it dries lighter, so that could throw you off. So it's something that you have to make an adjustment to when you paint, and everything has its challenges, with its oils, with its digital painting. I know for me, one of the challenges that I have with digital painting is that the colors are so high key that I have to keep track of the values. I have to keep in mind to keep track of the values. Otherwise, everything would be screaming at you because the colors are so vibrant and bright. You don't want everything to scream at you all at once. So anyway, it's what Norman Rockwell did and said in terms of using that one blade from the blind, was that he wanted to rely on his ability. And as I said, every medium has its challenges. So what you gotta think about mastering the medium, mastering the material, mastering your equipment. And what does it mean to master your equipment? It's just not being able to use it. It's being able to recognize how much you can do with that equipment in order to bend it towards what you want to do. You need to know the shortcomings of it. You need to know the shortcomings of the medium. You need to know the shortcomings of the tools, so that what you do is that, knowing its shortcomings, you can use your ability to get across what you want to put down on the canvas or on paper in order to show the world your vision, your idea of what you want to get across. So mastering something is in part knowing the materials that you're using, knowing the shortcomings of those materials. Now, this is one of the reasons why I kind of explore other brushes, because one, it gives me other things to other choices, and it gives me an opportunity to learn these things, and again, master them to the point where I know the limitations of what it is that I'm using. And so I got to try and figure out, how do I use what I have in order to get across what I want to get across, in order to communicate what I want to communicate in the picture. So anyway, I'm using these brushes. Some of them, all of them, I've never used before. I won't say never used before. I rarely used before, and so I'm coming back, and one or two of these brushes are entirely new to me. The brush I'm currently working on, I've never used before. But other than that, some of them are brushes that I've tested before and thought, hey, I should come back to this at some point. So what I'm doing right now is that I'm just blocking out the large areas, the large masses of dark, and separating the dark and the light. And I'm creating a map of this person's head, so that I can fill in this map later on, and breaking it down into large shapes, and then getting smaller and smaller as the details, as I can work into the details after I've finished establishing what the larger shapes are, so that the details fall within the larger shapes. So it's kind of backwards to do the details and then do the larger shapes. We kind of sometimes, when at least I know I did when I didn't know better, sometimes I would start by drawing the eye or the nose and so forth when I was much younger, when I didn't know any better. I didn't know about art or how to proceed and so forth. So, but you learn that that those things come later. First, you have to draw the things that they are a part of, and connect everything so that everything reads solidly as one head, one drawing, rather than bits and pieces floating around on a piece of paper and not corresponding to each other. So that's what I'm doing. Making a very simple outline of where the darks and the lights go, and getting used to this brush. Now, one of the challenges with this channel, let me just say right here, is that I'm trying to do things in real time here. I'm trying not to speed up these videos, because the whole purpose of this channel is to have videos where I'm actually drawing in real time, drawing or painting in real time. But one of the challenges is that I don't want the videos to drag on. I don't want to, because when I draw or paint, and for my other channel, what I'm doing is I'm painting or drawing something that took either a few hours or a few days, and I'm taking it and I'm speeding it up so that I can get it down to 20-25 minutes or so, just within that range, not allowing it for it to last too long. And with this channel, I don't want things to be like a marathon where I'm drawing for hours in one video. I don't think that would be a good thing, and I don't think that would hold everyone's attention that long. So what I want to try and do, though, is to continue to do things in real time, but at the same time to not make the video too long. So as a result, some of the things would be simple, quick sketches, things like that, and maybe I should call this the sketch channel or something like that. And and apart from maybe something running a little longer, it being maybe a tutorial or something like that, then I can see it running a little longer. But for the most part, like this, and this is running longer than I would want it to, it would just be a drawing where I would, I would just sketch very quickly. And for this one, the purpose of this one is just to explore these brushes and to broaden the choices that I make as far as creating a picture is concerned, and to learn how to use these brushes, because what I'm doing here is I'm fumbling a lot and trying to figure out how to use these brushes to create this image. So, and I kind of like how this thing has kind of the texture of a pencil, a very, very soft lead pencil. It's like something that was gone over with a stomp. So that, that's pretty much it. That's I mean, see, part of the challenge is also continually talking, and where, when you do this in real time, I mean, thank goodness I taped this, I recorded this ahead of time, and what I'm doing is I'm doing the voiceover afterwards. But if I were to have, this would be an even bigger challenge, because I would be, if I were to have did the audio as I was drawing, because it's a challenge to draw and to think and to figure things out, and at the same time talk to somebody. But this is one of the challenges with this channel. Now, this channel may change. This channel may become something different. But if it does change, it won't be because I want things to not just to get easier. It can be easier, but it's got to be better. So I'm trying to create a better channel here in regards to drawing and painting. So maybe what I'll do is start posting tutorials, or maybe what I'll do is do a series of sketches, or maybe in these sketches explore these brushes that are here. So if anyone has any questions about the brushes that I used and so forth, please go ahead and leave a comment, ask a question, let me know. Whatever information I can give you, like I said, I will definitely leave a link to the Autodesk website where you can download additional brushes for Sketchbook, and it won't cost you a penny. I'm not sure if there's anything on there that they charge for. At the same time, you can also within the program create a brush. There's a thing called a do-it-yourself brush in the program where you can create a brush that what you do is take the properties that are in some of these other brushes and manipulate them so that you can come up with something that you like. And I'm sure there are other ways of creating brushes in the program. I'm not, like I said, because my mindset is I'm going to use what's there, and I'm going to learn how to bend these things to my purposes. So I'm not too keen on the do-it-yourself brush. The only thing that I had done years ago was to create an ink brush on here. But since then, I would go to a program like Clip Studio Pro, which has excellent ink brushes, because that's what that program was made for. It was made for inking manga or comics and stuff like that, and so their ink brushes are terrific. So rather than try and create one and stuff like that, I would rather go on the other program and use the brushes that they have there, and then use Sketchbook for the things that Sketchbook is good for, and which is a lot. It's a great program, and it's very easy to get to learn to know. So anyway, that's that. Apart from that, let me just say this, and I'm not going to speak too much more beyond this, just to let this thing play itself out. I have a Patreon page, and if you like this stuff, if this stuff is appealing to you, and you want to see more of it, and definitely on my Patreon page, I have I'm going to be posting tutorials and stuff like that, and so there'll be videos done in real time, and even if they're not in real time, they're more instructional in regards to painting and using the programs, and but mainly developing images. So I'm going to leave a link to my Patreon page, and I would like to invite you to come. Like I said, if you like this, if this is something you would like to support, then by all means come to my Patreon page and support that so that I can continue to grow my Patreon page and this channel and the other channel that I have, in order to bring more and more quality stuff here on YouTube and on Patreon. And for those that don't know, Patreon is like a tip jar where basically you can pledge a small amount, anywhere from $1 to $3 to $6 a month, and then on the Patreon page you would have access to videos, you would have access to images, also a sketchbook, which is a PDF which you can download from month to month, where I would just keep up with the sketches that I do on a daily basis and make them available as a PDF for download, and all this is available on my Patreon page. So definitely I'll leave a link. If I definitely would appreciate support, but it's up to you. If this is what you like, if this is what you want to support and you want to help out, then by all means help out. So with that, I'm just gonna go ahead and sign out here, and just continue to let this run and let this drawing take shape. Alright, so until next video, I will see you guys then. Bye bye.